Okay, boys, it's time for Modern Gaming. Red Leaf Retrocast. We're going modern times here. It's episode 36. It's been a hot minute since our last episode. I'm the host, JD. Jay, don't you interrupt me on Election Day. The fate of my country is in the hands of the place where I went to college that one time.
That's why you're wearing the Michigan Tech shirt. Ooh.
It is a coincidence, actually.
Look, my country
but we are
is fine.
Going with it now.
My country is fine. It's
your country is always having election issues. Don't you lie to me.
Look, currently, my country is fine. There's no election here.
In this current moment we speak, Australia is okay, kind of, sort of.
It's not on fire this time.
There's no fire, but there are things that can kill me around every corner and under every toilet seat. Also, there's a third person here, and I don't like it. There's too many people here. This is a two-person podcast, JD.
No, I have brought in a third, and my mom will join us at the end of the cast to review Spelunky 2.
Ooh.
Yes.
I'm actually curious to hear what she says about that. I'm very intrigued.
Yes, we have quite a few games to talk about. We got the September and October games. We're doing a 2-monther yet again. We got Spelunky 2, 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, Hades, Genshin Impact. I'm sure Kay will have something to say about that.
Oh,
Tony
yeah,
Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 Remaster. I think Jay has something to say about that.
I got lots to say about that.
Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. Super Mario Bros.
JD has something to say about that.
I have a lot to say about that. Super Mario Bros. 35, and we're squeezing this one in here because it's pretty shitty. Watch Dogs Legion.
Yeah, I bought that piece of crap. We'll get to that.
I can't wait.
Get your money back.
So let's see here.
Oh, I already have. I returned it and picked up the friggin' Dark Pictures thingy, which I haven't played yet. But
oh,
it's
good.
probably
I expect you to return that one too.
Hey, I'm just killing time until Valhalla comes out and Yakuza 7 next week. Give me some slack.
Yakuza 7 comes out on the 10th. Yeah, it's already getting decent reviews.
Well, Valhalla's getting decent reviews too, and they both come out on the 10th. So it's really a question as to whether or not I play Valhalla first or Yakuza 7.
Wait a minute. Valhalla. Let's see here. No, not those.
Spider-Man comes out a few days later.
Spider-Man. I got the Spider-Mans.
Spider-Man comes out a few days later, though. It's not coming out on the 10th.
I don't see any reviews for Assassin's Creed Valhalla already. Seen none of these things.
Everything I've seen of it just makes it look like Odyssey, but in the UK, which is fine.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla video game. No, there's no reviews out for it yet.
What a disappointment. See, the thing is, like, the reason
you're lying to me, Jay. On Election Day. I can't believe it.
Damn it, Jetty. The reason there are reviews for the friggin' Yakuza game already is because it's already been out for like 6 months.
Well, yeah.
Of course, there's a review for a game that's already out.
Of course. But not the English version, you fool.
Is it going to be English dubbed, or are they just subtitling it?
I don't know.
Please don't dub it.
Who cares?
Hey, Judgment didn't have a terrible dub.
Neither did
Listen to the dub.
Neither did Zero.
Zero had a dub?
Wait.
Zero
had a dub?
I always forget.
Was it?
I always forget if it...
I don't think it was. Was it?
So
Was
Yakuza 1 back on the PS2 was dubbed, and it was terrible. And then Judgment was dubbed. I don't know about any of the others.
Look, Jay, you can't blame early 2000s dubbing, alright?
Hey, Mark Hamill was Majima, so... Bright spot,
I take it back. That is the greatest casting in the history of mankind.
That's the only good casting on that entire cast list, though.
Fantastic. All right, where are we starting?
Well, I'll just give my kind of brief thoughts over Spelunky 2, since everyone clearly asked. Currently has a Metacritic score of 86. It's one of the better games of 2020. I don't know if you guys know this, but this year has been almost the best. Some would say the best year.
JD, we've had a fantastic time playing games this year. I don't know what you're talking about.
Actually, yes, I have. It has been a great year for video games. Lots of time to play video games.
Indeed.
Yes, so it's a sequel to the roguelike platform adventure game that we all knew and loved from, I think, 6 years ago. I think it came out in 2013.
I'm going to hazard a wild guess here and say that was called Spelunky.
It would be correct. That's a damn good guess.
Awesome.
Yes, action platformer, roguelike, rated T for T. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because blood and something or another. So yeah, I'm going to read this little summary here from Metacritic, because I'm already at it. Builds upon unique randomized challenges that made the original a roguelike classic, offering a huge adventure designed to satisfy players old and new. Meet the next generation of explorers as they find themselves on the moon, searching for treasure and missing family.
So it's Spelunky on the moon.
It is
The moon, though.
It is Spelunky on the moon. The short version is it's basically the same game as the first one, just with extra little quirks. It's pretty much everything you want in a sequel without it being a completely new, weird spin on the game like Yakuza 7 is going to be. So, the new traps are fun and interesting. It's an easy game to get wrapped up in, and you find yourself playing for hours. There's my short version of Spelunky 2. I love the little art design. The music is much improved, I think, from the first game. Anyone else play the Spelunky?
Can't say I have.
You've kind of covered everything that needs to be touched on.
Sure, why not? I don't care if this podcast is 30 minutes.
That's the spirit.
That's the spirit. All right. Well, that was easy. Let's do Hades next. So Hades, I played the piss out of this game. It is fucking awesome. It's, I would say, better than Spelunky 2. It currently, it's getting a lot of Game of the Year awards nominations. Yes. That. Let's see. I got it on the Nintendo, yes, Nintendo Switch. Yes? Oh my god. Did I play it on the Switch or the yeah, no, Switch. Yes. I'm not crazy. You're crazy.
You got very unsure of yourself.
God. Oh, I haven't played it in like 2 weeks. So.
Well, it sounds like you're really enjoying that game.
I am really enjoying that game. It has a 93 on Metacritic. It's made by... The reason why I took a spin on this game when it first came out was it's made by Supergiant Games, the Transistor people. Bastion? Those people? Yes?
Heard of Bastion.
Yes.
We've all heard of Bastion.
So what I love about Supergiant Games is every game they make is different from the last one, but it's still kind of in that same simplistic art style, and you could argue it's probably all made in the same engine. But this is a roguelike dungeon crawler. You play as the son of Hades, actually, and what you do is you go level to level, and you get upgrades via gifts from the gods, and those are your kind of rogue abilities, per se. And the more you take from one god over another, the more you're affiliated with that god, and that's your kind of level up system in this roguelike. There's 4 bosses in the game. I am super stuck on the third one. It's really hard. I've been stuck on there for 3 weeks. Yes, 3 weeks. I've been stuck on that
hard boss.
It's very difficult. I'm really having trouble with it. I should probably just count my losses and start looking up Google Let's Plays on how to beat this fucker. But the dialogue is super interesting. The art style is great. It's very much something you can dive into and keep playing over and over again. I have yet to meet and talk to anybody who dislikes this game. It is a by God Game of the Year contender. Pretty damn easy. It's the controls are super tight. The weapon choices, spear, sword, what have it, and then you can you get various upgrades that way. What I really love about it is the object of choice through stages where, let's say there's 2 doors. One door has an upgrade to, say, I don't know, get certain amount of health back, while the other one tells you, hey, there's a gift from this god there. So you find yourself kind of memorizing the symbols for each Greek god that's involved. So that's really cool. Yeah, new voicemail. That's actually probably GameStop about my Assassin's Creed Valhalla pre-order. So, Who else has played Hades?
I have not, but I've seen it. I've seen it, and I've seen a lot of people talk about it. I'm just not very big on roguelikes. It's not my genre of choice.
Well, 2 for 2 for the roguelikes. I am not generally a roguelike guy, but a game does come around sometimes where I find myself really addicted. Spelunky 2 and Hades is very much my jam. Dead Cells was, I believe, last year or 2018, whichever year that was. That was very much my jam. It was just too difficult. I found myself pretty stuck in that game too. I probably could have grinded a little bit more to get better, maybe honed my skills, just impatient about it, and other games came out. Hades, I don't find the grind all that super difficult or jarring. I just haven't gotten back to the game because I dove right into finishing Yakuza 4 and playing Yakuza 5.
So I've looked up stuff of it. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
So I've looked up stuff of it, and the top-down portion of it reminds me a lot of the game Ruiner. I don't know if you've played that before.
Not familiar, no.
It's not a roguelike, but it's like a top-down sort of shooters / hack and slash game. Very cyberpunky.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely recommend it if you kind of want to try it out. It's like $20 on the eShop and on PlayStation. That's
okay.
Sort of what it reminds me of, the top-down portion of it, at least. And I've played that game.
Yeah, it's got a pseudo-isometric type view to it, but usually that may cause depth perception issues with how you attack enemies and jumping, but never found myself having that issue in this game. I love the camera work and how the character remains centered, but yet the camera still sort of moves with the character, so that's really nice. There's little tricks and quirks to getting around certain enemies, especially when you think you're a little bit under-leveled, like your type of build you're going to, and the way it's kind of RNGing out just maybe hasn't gone your way. You can still find ways to manipulate levels and stages to your advantage. So there's like the what's called stage 2, where there's a lot of lava everywhere. You can manipulate enemies where they can't quite go over the lava. So you can, if you have a spear, you can get the reach and they can't really reach you. There's really neat things like that. There's a throwing ability that you can upgrade, agility. It's super tight. I see almost nothing wrong with this game really at all, other than I kind of wish the variety in boss battles was there. And what I mean by that is I kind of wish there was more, because there's only, to my knowledge, the 4 bosses, and then the game, and then you beat it. So they had to make each boss battle sort of this higher difficulty level to get to the next stage. I think I would have done is, say, 8 bosses, maybe not as hard, so it seems like you're making progress a little bit quicker, and you're not finding yourself playing it over and over and over again, because I've seen people play this, 30 plus hours. That seems excessive for even a roguelike with just kind of, let's call it 4 stages, right? Because I just got done playing Hollow Knight, and that was excessively too long in my opinion. Even though it's, again, a really tight and great game, there is such thing as too much, just for the sake of longevity in your experience. My one complaint about it.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Next up on the list is 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. And before you go on with this, Kay, I'm going to pull up the little Metacritic here. Sentinels. Hope I spelled that right. Of course I didn't.
JD, I thought you were the educated one here.
I don't have time spelling it too.
Wearing a bloody Michigan Tech shirt and can't even spell Sentinels.
Oh. Okay. That's how you spell it.
Well done.
I did not spell it Nels. I was a fool.
Yeah, I've had time spelling it too.
Yeah.
I've been having issues with it too. Spelling it and everything.
I believe it's a PS4 exclusive.
It is.
86 on Metacritic. 9.0 user score, so very good. The summary from Metacritic, well, we'll see how accurate this is and how much it doesn't say. A departure from the studio's traditional fantasy style, the studio's Vanillaware, by the way, that's kind of funny. Game takes place in a modern setting punctuated with giant mechs. Although the world may be bleak, Vanillaware's signature artistic shine and gorgeous aesthetics will bring... Okay, this tells me nothing.
Here, let me tell you about this game.
All right, Kay.
That's my boy.
This game is, of course, not complicated at all. Please inform the viewers who have never played this game what this game is, what it's about, and I guess it's plot. Sort of.
Main part where you go through character stories. So you start the game off with about 6 characters. You go through each of their prologues. And from there, they each have branching story points that you can do. So you click one character, and then you could get certain key phrases, which are usually the thing called the thought cloud. They're usually things that let you contemplate words that are set keywords. And some of them allow you to talk to people using said keywords, asking them about certain things you've been told. And those will unlock additional routes. And the second half of this game is a sort of very basic kind of looking mech strategy game. It's active time, so it's going on as you're doing your turn, so there's no pauses in combat, really. You don't get to see the mechs except for like on the side when you collect on the character. Each character has a sentinel, and there's like, I think, 3 generations of sentinels, each one sort of prioritizing in certain things. One long range, one more close range, and one more versatile. But the story portion is done in a side-scrolling fashion. So it's kind of like a side-scroller where you go back and forth in the level 2. The bulk of the game so far takes place in 1985. However, it isn't 1985. There's a lot of time travel. There's a lot of aliens. There's kaiju. There's mech battles, there's different dimensions, and then there's androids.
Doesn't sound confusing at all.
When you say this,
it sounds very confusing, and it sounds like it should be a hot mess. But what the game does very, very well is it'll sprinkle bits of information within dialogue to you. So it'll explain stuff to you, like the character will talk about stuff, and you'll kind of know some of the stuff, but there'll be certain things you maybe don't know or aren't explained as in depth, right? Like the kaijus, for example, right? The kaijus are very mechanical.
Okay. I have a very important question.
Yes.
Is one of the kaiju Shoko Nakajima?
No. I wish he was. Damn. Though. It'd be great.
Damn.
But so the kaijus are mechanical, and right off the bat, when you think kaijus, you think like Godzilla, right? You think more creatures, right?
Yeah, like King Kong, Godzilla, Mothra, all them.
Yeah, stuff like that, like very, very giant monsters, right? But these are all machines, right? But they're calling them kaijus. And even referring to them as like sort of their own versions of the Godzilla and other kaijus. So it dances around it a little bit, but it keeps that information in the back of your brain. And then a little bit later, in one of the character stories, they find out what they actually are. And it makes all the sense in the world. But then it gives you more questions. And then it continues to trickle these sort of questions and answers in a satisfying way. It doesn't like leave you hanging. It'll answer a giant question, and then it'll leave you with more questions on top of that answer. And none of it doesn't make sense. If that makes any sense. Each of the characters that are in the story, because there's a total of 13. You start off with 6, and as you go through stories, you unlock some of the other characters and go through their stories. And some of them intertwine with each other. And so you'll find out information. Like, say, one character, for instance, stumbles upon this bathroom, right? The girl's bathroom, and it's destroyed. And she's trying to figure out what happened to her friend and why this bathroom is destroyed, right? Because part of her story is investigating why her friend went missing. Her friend being the sort of tomboyish track and field person, and the character in question trying to figure out about her being the Sukaban character, the delinquent girl, right? Mm-hmm. She finds these glasses that belong to another character, these red glasses that are very, very obviously hers, right? She's the one that wears these glasses. And so she goes and questions her about it. Her character's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never been there. One of the characters that's talking to her, another main character, says, oh, but I've seen you there. And then another character says, no, but she was at the gate with us. And then you find out there was 2 of her. Right? And then it gives you questions, right? So you find out kind of that she was there. There was 2 of her there now all of a sudden. And then when it answers that question in another character's story. So another character, the track and field character, the friend, goes into this bathroom, and then you find out why, one, there's a second version of this character, and two, why the bathroom is destroyed. So it sort of crisscrosses some of these stories, and then some things that are brought up are referenced later stories. So what the kaijus are in this one character stories, but it's followed up upon in two other character stories as to why they're what they are and what their purposes are. It does it in a very satisfying way, I think. And I think the best analogy I've heard for how it sort of drops these clues to you is it'll drop what's like these stiff jabs, right? To use sort of a boxing reference, right? These like stiff jabs that kind of will leave you a bit surprised, but stunned, sometimes shocked, right? At sort of the revelations coming about in a good way, shocked, right? And then you get to certain character stories and it just hits you with freaking haymakers. To the point where I've had to put the game down because I'm like, oh my God, I gotta process all of this, right? Like, just big stuff been revealed in some of the stuff. And sort of one of the other sort of things to find out information in the game is going through the battles, right? The battles are on a separate screen and aren't tied to the story, though you kind of need to do some of the battles to unlock what's called mystery files. And
right,
certain character stories will lock. Yeah, certain character stories will lock after a certain amount of progress in them. And some of them require you to have X amount of mystery files, to which you have to go to the combat portion and do well in the combat portion. And that'll give you mystery files that can unlock some of the other information in the sort of third screen that sort of has all this compendium information in it. And so it gives you a reason to kind of flip through all three screens. It's very well done. I think I want to say by the time I'm done with this game, if it sticks the landing, it'll probably be my favorite game in terms of story. Because it is just done so well. And then the art is incredibly gorgeous as well as the music.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the art and music because I think that's its strongest point of the game. The art is is much like a visual novel of an anime you'd play on like Steam. However, because it's free moving and the usage of things like light and music, and it really sets it apart from just coming across like a basic visual novel. There's a lot of interaction. There's a lot of moving parts. The thought bubbles that come up as you're interacting with other characters get you to process the information at your own rate, which I really appreciate. Because this game does just drop you the fuck in. It maybe to its detriment, because there's so much information that you just don't know when you start the game. It almost felt like you're watching an anime and you came in at like episode 7, right? You go, okay, I don't know where we are, what's going on, but these things are happening in front of me. I guess this is what's going to happen. But as you play through the prologue of each initial character, it does do a good job in piecing together at least the basics of what you're missing from your initial jarring experience. So I'll give another example of at least my initial response, because that first hour I played it and I was like, I don't know if this is for me, I don't know what's going on, right? And then you spoke so highly of it, Kay, and I was so enamored with the artwork and what was going on, and even the battle system to an extent. I was like, all right, I'll give this another try. I'll start over. I'll pay better attention to it. Maybe I just wasn't in the mood for it. And I played. What I did was I played an hour a night, so it came out to about like two prologue characters. I got about 4 hours into the game, and it does this wacky cliffhanger thing at the end of each prologue, where it's, oh, but you were actually time traveling to 2065 or whatever the year it was. And there's a giant mech. It's War of the Worlds. Oh, but now you got to play this character, and now you're in 1942. It's like, okay,
right.
I guess we're going back there. Why are we in 42? Why is that the same character? Oh, that's interesting. I guess we'll find out. And you kind of get, and there's a lot of anime tropes in it, sure. It's kind of par for the course. Luckily it's not overbearing in that regard, so I think it holds back on too many of the tropes. So that is a warning I have. You're gonna have to give this game its time to settle in, and be patient in piecing the information together. Because if you don't do that, you're probably not gonna have a good time with it. My comparison to the game, I was thinking about this, was we played a game for the Retro Gaming podcast, because I got to plug that sucker over there, Red Leaf Retrocast, called Front Mission. I like the Front Mission series. Anime-type story, strategy game with mechs, right? Sounds familiar.
Right.
Where 13 Sentinels is different is Front Mission is all about the strategic mech battles, while the story is kind of the secondary piece. 13 Sentinels, the story is the prime focus, while the battles are secondary. Not to say that the story in Front Mission's bad, not to say the mech battles in 13 Sentinels is bad. They're just not the prime main focus of the game.
Right, and I'll follow up on the sort of giving it time. I think when I had spoke of it with you originally, I was frustrated with the game and sort of the level of progression that was going on. I was getting very frustrated. I couldn't figure out how to advance the plot. And then I found this neat little thing that I don't think it described to me, or if it did, I wasn't paying attention in my frustration. By hitting the square button, you get to see, one, the amount of paths that branch off from the one you're currently on, and sometimes the keyword required to getting to said path. And once I did that, and it started answering more questions, and I started becoming so enthralled. Once I did that, I think I spent 7 or 8 hours nonstop just playing the game. And then the next day I couldn't stop thinking about the game because it was so interesting to me.
Right.
It's definitely a game you gotta give time. You gotta give it time. But it's gonna be so worth it when you do. I can assure you, anyone of that. It's very well done.
Yeah.
Do you know how many...
Go for it, Jay.
I was going to say, do you know how many endings there are for the game, or...
I'm sure there's an ending for each character. Or...
I do not...
It's definitely a long... Actually, I'm going to look up this. How long to beat?
I have tried to avoid even looking up guides, as I don't want to spoil any of the game. That's why I'm trying not to spoil any much of the story. Because the points in the story where revelations are happening, the big points in the story, are almost what keeps you going. It's like the big hook for the game, is these big plot points and how things are revealed and how things are played out.
So, how long to beat pegs this game at 37.5 hours. So, some reason I was thinking it'd be like a Final Fantasy game where it hit the upper 40s, low end 60s for game time.
How come this thing doesn't...
Excuse me, Jay?
I didn't say anything.
Okay. So, yeah, 13 Sentinels is very much worth spending your time with. It's very interesting if you're into wacky time travel, deep story oriented. I'll call it a visual novel with mech battles as the gameplay. If you're into that, it is a forewarning though that it's a lot of information that you really need to pay close attention to. And hopefully you enjoy a time travel aspect anime, because that's really what it is at the end of the day. Agreed, Kay?
I mean, I think it's a little bit deeper and more than that, but I definitely don't want to spoil some of those things that definitely come of that.
All right. Well, any thoughts, Jay?
I guess I'm curious to, like, just as I said before, I just wonder how many endings there are. Like, there's one per character, or like there's one penultimate ending.
Well,
I definitely don't want to find that out just because I don't want to spoil it for myself.
Well, I could probably guess that it's one of two ways, just with the way it presents itself. An ending for each individual character, or you play out, or it could be something like Octopath Traveler, because that's what that was, playing out an ending for each character, right? Or you finish the mainline story of each character, and then once you've completed all that, then it shifts into one solid, complete ending, which I think would be better.
I think that's probably what it might do. It seems like from what I've played so far, that's very much what it will do. But again, I try to avoid looking anything up on it, as I think spoiling any part of it almost ruins the game.
All right, Kay, we're going to give a spoiler to our audience right now. But if you don't know the answer, then no one has to go forward. Does a character die? Yes? 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 Kay?
Yes.
My God.
Yes, a character does die.
Fucking killing me with that
Yes.
silence.
Yes. Can you not
Well,
hear
maybe
me?
he was just building suspense. Did you think of that?
Well, the suspense worked. Okay. Let's go to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Let me take you back to the year 1999.
Wait, can you not hear me?
We could
In a
hear
world.
you once.
What was that?
Go on, Jay. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater
Wait.
1 and 2 remaster.
Once? I said yes
What do you
like
mean
4
once?
times.
Yeah, we only heard you one time.
All I said was, let me take you back in the world to 1999, when the pop culture was populated by counterculture things and stuff. When the first Tony Hawk game came out and we all fell in love with Goldfinger Superman. Oh boy, boys, this is exactly what I've been waiting on for so long. I am a huge fan of the Tony Hawk series, have been since the first game. We don't talk about 5, but this has just been nostalgia in a bubble for me. Have either of you played it?
I mean, I played
I may
the first one pretty recently on the Retro Gaming podcast.
So,
I may have. I played some of it.
you did? You played some of it?
I played some of it.
Did you get your geisha board?
Geisha board, and then I stopped playing.
Nice. So, JD, we both know here that I suck at describing games.
Sure, yes, this is a fact.
This is a very big fact. But, yeah, I'm already struggling here. I just really like this game.
Are the controls tighter than they used to be in the late 90s?
Hell yes. Yes, they are.
Did they
By a
add
lot.
Did they add tricks and stunts?
Yes, they did.
Did they add
Well,
levels?
kind of. Okay, so look, the game itself, it's a remake of the first 2 games, but it implements stuff that gets introduced in like the later Tony Hawk games. So you can do spine transfers, you can do flatland variants, like grind variants, that sort of thing. Like if you double tap buttons and directional buttons and that sort of thing to like increase your combo and ultimately just keep things going. Whereas like in the first Tony Hawk game, you couldn't do manuals.
Okay,
the
see,
second
that's
one,
what
you
we're
couldn't-
talking about here. All the things that they added, like why should someone get it or over, say, going on the PSN store and just buying the first one over again?
Because
For
this game's just better and easier to play and more accessible for newcomers to the franchise if you wanted to get good, so they say.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So they added the mechanics of the newer games into a remaster of the first one. Did they add levels?
No, they are levels from the first 2 games, and they did not bring back all of the secret characters, I'm guessing, for copyright things, because
Yes,
there
that
was
would
secret
most
characters like
likely be the
Spider-Man
reason.
and that sort of stuff, yeah.
Is Bam
Yeah.
Margera in it?
No, because he was not introduced until Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3.
Really? I thought he was in the
Actually,
second
that's a
one.
little bit of an amendment here, because in the level from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 called The Hangar, it has like posters up of all of the Tony Hawk game covers, like so 1, 2, 3, 4,
Uh-huh.
Underground, Thug 2, all so forth and so on. Bam's actually like digitally removed from the cover of Thug 2.
Oh,
I
interesting.
wonder if it's because he's having drug and other issues that have been publicly documented that are making him a
Oh,
mess.
come on. He's a famous skateboarder.
He's also
It's
very famous
possible.
for being a drug addict right now.
Oh, come on. You don't think they're all drug addicts?
I
Not
mean, I did
all of
not
them.
say that.
God, that's like Michael Phelps. He got caught smoking weed. Everyone hate him. Get rid of him. Oh, by the way, weed's legal. We love him. We'll sponsor you again.
I think from what I know of Bam, there's a lot of.
I'm sure he got the
very
cocaine and shit.
sketchy. I think there's also a lot of sketchy stuff going on around there that would lead me to thinking that it'd probably be smart for them to sort of digitally remove him from stuff.
You say
Yeah,
so.
but it's just like a game cover. Does that really matter?
It's a
I mean,
past
I guess
game
it
cover.
doesn't,
I
but
guess it wouldn't be.
Yeah, like it's not like they're going to
Shouldn't,
go
but,
out
you
there
know.
and like pick up the freaking old covers of Thug 2 and like Thug 2 Remix and like take him off the covers of them now.
I'm sure it's a
It's out
licensing
there.
thing that they would have to get
Especially,
by.
it could be licensing too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
like,
what I was
it's
thinking.
like college football games can't use the characters' images, that kind of stuff.
So they did.
Until they did, right? So
And then things happened and they couldn't.
yeah, so I know you love this game, Jay, and I know you wanted to briefly touch on it. But much like the Yakuza remasters from earlier this year, won't be making our Game of the Year's list because of our rules.
Well, no, it can make the Game of the Year's list. It just can't be top 5.
Not this one.
Hey.
Just like Yakuza 3, 4, and 5, they can't even make it. They're not different enough.
Oi. I've had more fun playing this game than I've had playing some of the newer games this year.
Well, I mean, that just makes it tough for you to decide on better games this year.
This is going to be on my top 15, you know that. Or top 10. This will be like a number 10 or something. This will be on there.
I veto it.
You can't
As
veto
podcast
it.
host, I veto it.
It's my opinion. You can't veto it.
I, of course, can. It's my rules. This is not a democracy, Jay.
Hey Jay, you can always put Genshin Impact on there. Just
Fuck you, Kay. Anyways, let's talk about Genshin Impact. Oh my god, Kitty,
great.
why? Oh, no! Am I still here?
No.
Yeah, you're still
you have
here.
invalid opinions.
Oh god. That's so bad. What a huge leap. Alright, Genshin Impact has an 80 on Metacritic. It's the lowest game we're covering on the list so far. Came out September 28th, so it was a while ago. It's a port of a mobile game on console. It is Zelda Breath of the Wild Oops All Waifus, or Waifu of the Wild, however you want to call it. It is, it's a mobile game. Your anime girls and whatnot playing Breath of the Wild with elemental attacks that you can string together, and Kay, take it from there.
I mean, I don't know how you can underestimate the powers of waifus. Clearly, that's the big power draw here is the waifus. It's exactly what you said. It's just literally Breath of the Wild with combat. The combat itself is a little bit more deep than I guess you would think it would be. It does have a lot of like nuances to some of the abilities. Some of them string together, some of them don't. Some of them buff other abilities. Some of them don't. A lot of elemental stuff. So if your character walks in like a puddle of water as you're traversing, you get the status on you called wet. And electrical attacks and ice attacks now have double the damage and can stun you or freeze you faster. The result. So it does have some combat sort of depth to it. It has gacha mechanics, so better pay for them waifus, or you'll lose them forever.
Yeah, it has.
Won't love you enough.
It has a buttload of microtransactions. If I'm to put a positive spin on microtransactions, just to be different and change my tone for once, you can play the game easily without doing any of that and getting involved. So at least there's that. I played this game for about, what did I play it for? 90 minutes, Kay? Something like that. I just got really bored with it super fast. I didn't find the combat all that super interesting. Maybe it's because everything felt like it was too easy, and I wasn't progressing through the game fast enough.
Right. Well, I think some of the issues is you needed to do story quests, and when you do that, you unlock 2 other characters to add to your party.
Right, I did all that.
And that's where you start seeing the sort of the combo. Right. Did you unlock the electrical witch lady?
Yes.
Did you unlock the ice sword guy?
Yes.
Okay. Did you also unlock the when you did certain missions, when you completed certain chapters, you got 10 free gacha rolls. Did you use it to get your maid with the stone sword stuff power?
Yes. Okay.
So what you could do with some of that is if you keep the maid in your party, if your HP drops below 30%, her shield ability immediately activates on whatever character you have in front party.
That's all well and good. I got and understood the game mechanics of stringing abilities together throughout your different characters.
Right. Well, so if you use the lightning chicks, if you use her ultimate attack and you switch to the air character, you can take her attack and you can make it extended. You can extend her thing by using your ult on top of it. This thunder cloud, this like thunder tornado that'll do extra damage and can almost one-hit kill the first couple bosses.
Yeah, that's all.
The ice guy also has stuff like that as well.
that's all well and good. I just didn't feel like the game was all that engaging. Obviously, I didn't feel the story or dialogue was all that interesting. It felt very bare. It felt like a super bare bones game. Now, that being said, it is a mobile port and it's free. So in that sense, it's not much to complain about. But as for depth in keeping me engaged, I felt none of that, and that's why I just really lost interest quite quick. So that's my take on it. I think what hooked me
was sort of the loop of things. I think the loop is what got me, because the story itself is not very engaging. It's kind of like, oh, dragon be corrupted by evil people, go uncorrupt the dragon and beat the evil people. But it's sort of the loop that kept me. The go to dungeon, unlock stuff, find random chests in the world, beat enemies, stumble upon these ancient giant enemies that are like way too powerful for you early on. Like, I stumbled upon this like cube thingy that looked really weird because it was like a sparkling cube, and it turned out to be a mini boss that like wrecked my shit like super fast.
Yeah, the big complaint I had, because this all would have been totally acceptable, and I would have been willing to put up with a lot more. Again, this is of course just my taste with how engaged I felt I was, which was almost none. Was the reason why we all booted this up is we wanted to play together, because this has online multiplayer that you can play the stories.
It does.
Found out that you have to grind in order to get to a high enough level to do that. You can't just boot up the game, go through various tutorials, maybe a couple missions, and then gain access to the online. You have to grind for, like, it seemed like an entire day when I was like, okay, so I'm getting experience at this rate. It's going to take this long to get to each level. I have to get to, what was it, like level 16 or something? Or level 8? It was either level 8 or level 16.
Level 16, yes.
Yeah, 16. Level 16.
16.
I'm like, fuck, I've been playing an hour and a half and I'm at 2. And these are the beginning levels, which, by any sort of experience thing. And then I was running out of story missions, so it was making me do this bullshit side stuff to gain experience to gain to that level, like cooking food and going to this mission. I have to do these things in order to unlock another story part that'll get me more, but that sort of loop to even just get to that level to unlock online, I just wasn't having it.
It sounds like that you just didn't enjoy the grind.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying.
So some of the ways it is grindy. It does have grind in it, and I do think that's a bit of an issue, especially at level 16. There are tasks that I found out much later, once I was like level 10 or something, that help gain more XP. So when you travel around, when you beat some of the bigger boss characters, like maybe some of the giant guys with the shields and the axes, those get you XP. There's also these things called ley lines that you use this thing called resin that over the course of your real life day will return. But you could do, I think, up to like 5 or 6 battles with these ley lines using the resin, and they're just like little small wave battles that give you like 100, 200 XP immediately, plus like a chest. So there's those. There's some of the dungeons you can do early on that allow you to build some of that. Also, unlocking those little guideposts, the checkpoints that allow you to travel from place to place.
Yeah, the fast travel system is... Yeah, I appreciate any game with an unlockable fast travel system as you play the game. That's very nice, especially in an open world.
Yes, and there's a lot of those things. Some of them are
God
dotted
help
on the
you
map,
if you miss one.
Yes, there's a lot of them. Some of the major ones are dotted on the map, but there are also hidden ones you can find that help you get to better locations with rare items are usually dropped. So it does do a few things to sort of help get some of that XP a little bit faster, but it is a bit of an issue. They just introduced this little thing called commissions that you can do, like little small side things that are dotted on the map. They usually rotate every like hour. So if you complete one set of 6 of them, next hour you'll get 6 more. Those give you a lot of XP as well.
There you go. That's Genshin Impact. Let's keep rolling, since we have so many games to talk about in so little time. Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. First October game on the list. I beat this game in its entirety. I tried extremely tough to like get all these things called hidden tapes. There's unlockables in the game through of cosmetics. Yes, you don't have to fucking buy them. So hooray, Crash Bandicoot. I appreciate that. Can't believe I have to say that. So Crash Bandicoot 4 takes place directly, at least in timeline story-wise, after Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped. It's definitely kind of playing on itself a little bit of that. It's like, no other games came out after 3. Don't worry about those. So it's developed by Toys for Bob. If you've never played Crash before, it is a kind of run up and down platformer. So 2.5D is kind of what we'll call it. Kind of a genre of its own. As Jay got kicked out of the Discord chat. Oh, he says his mum called. So yeah, he's out of this for now. Can you still hear me, Kay?
I can hear you.
All right, so I'll keep talking at you.
Hooray.
If you're a Crash Bandicoot fan, this is the sequel you always wanted. This game's shtick this time around is all about masks. And throughout various levels, you will unlock various masks that invoke different abilities that function as kind of platform puzzles on stages. So one mask gets you to slow down time. So you can imagine how platforms, slow down, and you utilize that. There's one that phases objects in and out of existence, so you then reveal platforms. The later level has like a gravity mask, so you can go up and down like you're playing. What's that NES game? Can't think of the name. There's an NES game where it's like that. There's even different stages where you can play as different characters. So Dingo Dial and the main enemy, Neocortex. You play as him. Those levels I didn't find all that interesting, but it was nice being a change of pace. Now, a character I really did enjoy playing as was this what was her name? We'll call her Sheila.
Sheila, okay.
We'll call her Sheila. But she each of the characters have a different sort of gimmick to them. So Dingo Dial has like a hover pack, so he can actually jump. Cortex has a laser gun, and he can't double jump. The Sheila has a grappling hook, so best game ever, game of the year immediately, just with that gimmick. So yeah, there's all kinds of shticks like that. And then after you unlock all the levels, it unlocks what's called the inverted mode of it. So it inverts like all the colors to the stage, and it plays the stage like mirrored. And that's how you can say unlock different cosmetics for Crash and Coco that you can play as. So it's super neat. It does a bunch of different things with each stage to kind of it makes a bunch of replay value. Basically, it's really cool. I found myself replaying levels over and over again, really wanting some of the challenges to do well at. The story is just simple, goofy, fun Crash Bandicoot, Neocortex, and Dr. Entropy. Get it?
I don't get it.
You don't get it. So they basically want to break the space-time continuum. That's their goal. And they interlock dimensions, and it's not as complicated as it sounds. It's just Crash, go to the level, beat it, and Crash, you damn Bandicoot. What's a Bandicoot? Don't worry about it. So it's very self-aware of its humor. It gets immensely hard as you play through the game, but luckily there is 2 modes you can play in. You can play classic mode, where you have limited lives. That's the mode I played it in. I gave myself as big a challenge as I could handle, and believe me, it is ridiculously tough in those last 2 stage worlds that you play through.
I heard you.
Oh yeah. And then, or the other mode you can play in is kind of, let's call it the non-Fire Emblem, not permadeath mode. So as long as you reach a checkpoint, you just keep continuing from there, and your actual like death counter just keeps going up rather than you have a limited amount of lives. But I was lucky to have that counter on classic mode, and it showed me dying like 65 times on the last level of the game. That wasn't the boss battle. So,
That's nuts.
Despite my frustration, it was kind of that good frustration where it was, God damn it, one more time. That's a game loop I got behind. I love platformers. This was right up my alley. It has an 85 on Metacritic. Again, if you love Crash Bandicoot on the original PlayStation, if you loved the trilogy remaster, Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, is everything you ever wanted. The only complaint I have is the viewpoint of it. The depth perception seems off at times and kind of jarring. Like it's almost like there's a latency and distance issue to it all. Like your draw just isn't quite there. It's very strange. I hope I had described it well enough. It didn't keep me from... It wasn't the reason why I was dying or anything. It just kind of felt off. So keep that in mind. So if you have like depth perception issues, then this game probably isn't for you. Because a lot of people don't like games where
Isn't that a complaint about the trilogy?
That was a complaint about the trilogy, yeah.
Okay, so it's sort of a similar issue then, I guess.
Yeah, this one kind of felt a little bit more off with that depth perception, because it like some stages especially felt like it was very obsessed with this kind of upward type tilt to it. So it looked like things were further than what they really are, but as you play through the level, it's totally fine. It's just that initial look at the stage. It's very strange. So I definitely recommend Crash Bandicoot 4. It's one of my favorite games of the year. Great 2 months for video games. And great reviews all around. Except Madden 21, of course. That game did not get good reviews.
Madden is a fantastic gem of a game that everyone should
Madden
play.
sucks
There's no
anyway.
issues
So
with it
I
at all.
buy that game.
How could you? Super Mario
You
Bros.
cannot play Madden though. You fall to the floor.
Well, yeah, that's true. Super Mario Bros. 35. It is Tetris, not Tetris Attack. What am I thinking of? Tetris 100, 1000, 100, 300. What's that game?
99.
Tetris 99. Thank you. It's like Tetris 99, but you're playing through the original Mario Bros. Level game, and it's just that. Collect coins to go stage to stage. It's really fun. It's really fun with friends. If you somehow get in a game together or you're all playing it at the same time, you're just like, I got to stage 3-1 and that motherfucker hit me with 4 turtle shells. And it's free. It's totally free. You do need Switch Online though. Very addicting game.
So kind of free.
It's free in the sense you need the service. I think that's for what it's worth. Genshin Impact is totally fucking free. You do not need PS Plus in order to play it online.
Which then makes it free.
Because you grind level 16.
That makes it super free, but you have to fucking grind all your way. Anyways. Alright. So, we've talked about all these good games. Or at least games that, in the terms of Genshin Impact, because it's free, I'm willing to forgive and forget kind of situation. A game I was wary about, basically since day one, was this Ubisoft title called One Watch Dogs Legion. Has a 72 on Metacritic.
Oh boy, it should be lower than that.
A failing score by all sense of the words. It is by Ubisoft. It's an action-adventure open-world game. Summary! In the near future, London is facing its downfall. The people are being oppressed by an all-seeing surveillance state. A corrupt private military corruption controls the streets, and a powerful crime syndicate is preying on the vulnerable. The fate of London lies with you and your ability... expand? To recruit a resistance and fight back. Watchdog Legions delivers a never-before-seen gameplay innovation, allows you to recruit and play as anyone you can see in the iconic city of London. Every single character in the open world is playable, and everyone has a backstory, personality, and skill set that will help you personalize your own unique team. Bring your characters online and join forces with friends to take back London in 4-player co-op missions. Bullshit. And game challenges and daily events. Welcome to the Resistance.
So, the multiplayer is not active until December.
That's why I said bullshit.
For starters. The game is terrible. Even before all of that. I loved Watch Dogs 2, right? Watch Dogs 2 was far superior and like a hell of an improvement to Watch Dogs 1.
Watch Dogs 2 was a good game. Watch Dogs 1 had flaws, yes.
Correct. Okay, so coming into this, I thought Watch Dogs Legion might be okay because, fix the bugs, like work out the teething issues with the second game. But oh boy, this game lacks so many things. And most of all, I'm going to say it lacks a main character.
It lacks being interesting, first of all.
Yes, it does. Because I cannot get invested in this when the main protagonist of a game is a faceless corporation, quite literally.
There's that, yeah. And also, Okay, there's permadeath in the game.
Well, if you turn it on, there is.
If you turn it on. But what kind of pussy would turn... anyways, don't turn permadeath on. That's a heavy mistake. And I found that out extremely quick. Because I'm like, I play Fire Emblem on permadeath. I can handle that pussy shit. I'm not gonna turn it off. So I spent like half an hour recruiting a character, doing all his bullshit, saving his brother from prison or whatever the fuck it was, and then he immediately gets hit by a car and dies. I was like, okay, well, fuck that.
JD, I'll go you one better. I was recruiting a person who was being chased by whatever the friggin' evil militaristic police people are, and the dumb son of a bitch ran directly into my line of fire.
Awesome. So you killed him and lost your character.
Yep.
Yeah. So permadeath is absolutely broken. Do not bother turning it on. So the game's whole gimmick, if you will, is recruiting all these characters in the world. They can be anyone, anything, anywhere kind of situation. Okay. Cool little gimmick, but you need a main character to recruit them. Correct, right?
Correct.
What does this game not have?
A main character.
Ah, well, there you go. So, you are a resistance leader of nobody.
Quite literally, yeah.
Yeah.
The driving in this game sucks. The shooting in this game sucks. The stealth in this game sucks. Do you see a pattern here?
Yeah, a lot of... it has, you know what? It has the same UI as the Division 2. Which isn't the worst thing in the world, but why would you keep something that, isn't the best?
No.
It's all in that, pseudo real-time menu pops up in the corner kind of situation, and it takes up so much real estate of the screen. The driving is atrocious.
Oh, yes, it is. The driving is freaking awful.
How many times did you find yourself running into the sides of buildings by simply barely tapping left or right?
Yeah. How many times did you find yourself coming into oncoming traffic because you did that and accidentally cause a freaking huge car accident and then get chased by the police?
Yeah. Kay, you played Driv 3R recently.
I did. I played the original Driver.
You did play the original Driver. This game's driving mechanics are worse than those.
Also, the original Driver... Listen. The freaking tutorial in Driver is more interesting than Watch Dogs Legion.
Well, let's not get crazy here. Hey.
You're going to be in that tutorial for the entire game. And
I learned something from the tutorial. I don't think I learned anything from Legion. I learned what a solemn is. Or a slalom. Whatever you pronounce that word.
A slalom?
Just out of curiosity,
I learned what that word was. I learned something from that game.
Did you not know what slalom was?
No, I did not.
You think he's a skier?
No, I've never skied in my life.
Talking to the Australian who's seen snow twice in his life.
I've seen snow at least 3 times.
Okay. It's okay. I grew up in Texas.
I've lived in the snow.
Cocaine doesn't count. AJ, cocaine doesn't count.
Well, the different kinds of snow.
I get snow follows me every weekend at the billiards hall. I get 8 balls all day. Jokes.
You didn't specify what kind of snow, dude. You just said snow.
So that being said, there are some interesting people that I came across that you can recruit. I do like a lot of the ideas the game has, but they weren't executed in anything interesting. Like, I like I found a beekeeper where you can sick bees on people, so that's cool. Each character has a negative. When you level up, there's a pro and con to leveling up certain abilities. I like those ideas. I love those ideas. Right? It's in Hades. There's a risk reward situation to leveling up. Those are great ideas. In Hades, it's executed really well because you know your pros and cons to it all, and you know you're gonna get stronger and better. In Legion, it's done in a way where it's so bland, and it actually feels very limiting at times, where you go, well, this character's useless. So what's the point of it being created kind of situation?
Are you telling me a Ubisoft game has great ideas that are baked? Shocking.
Yeah.
Look, here's the way I'm looking at it, right? And this is probably not a great way to look at it, but if they're going to do this again with, let's say, Watch Dogs Legion 2 or whatnot, and use this as a proof of concept like they kind of did for Watch Dogs 1, is it forgivable? No. But is it possible that's what they're doing? Yes.
I mean, that's what they did with the Division 2 with 1, except their mistake were the microtransactions of it all. Right?
Yeah. But you think that for after, like, on a third iteration of a game, they should at least have the friggin' normal crap that you're going to do for 90% of the game down pat.
The problem that Ubisoft is having is not nailing it on the first try, right? This is too many times now, and this is why the company is really struggling to make sales and make these investments into these IPs worthwhile, is because they're running out of their good IPs. You can only make so many Far Cries before people get sick of it, or you run out of ideas, right? Just as an example.
Look at Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Creed, they had to totally revamp the series, but what did end up happening to it? Unity happened, and then Syndicate happened, back to back, and they really had to take 3 steps back and visualize what they needed to do.
I like Syndicate.
There are too many instances now where Watch Dogs, the first one, busted, right? Division 1, busted. What's another example?
They have another franchise come out?
Ghost Recon. They fucked that up real hard. Right?
Oh, yeah, friggin' Wildlands? No, what was your sequel to that?
Breakpoint.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wildlands was good. I like Wildlands.
So they keep coming out with, they either burn a property in the ground, or they make a new one and it busts so hard on the first try that when the next one comes out, or the third one, it doesn't sell nearly as much as they need it to because they messed it up. Here, instead of making Watch Dogs 3 based on their successful one, they had to revamp it into Legion with a new gimmick, mostly based in that same Division 2 aspect, but they couldn't nail anything about it other than they have it's a game with a lot of cool gimmicks. But what do you do? And that's such a problem. It's such a bummer, because I can see, Jay, you and a lot of people were very excited for this game. And when I kept reading about it and looking at this, I'm like, I just don't see Ubisoft nailing this one. And sure as shit, they really
excited
didn't.
Is a little bit too far for what I was. I was going to check it out because Watch Dogs 2 didn't burn me.
So I'll put this in. So given the fact that they've done this now with Division, the Watch Dogs, even Far Cry, right? How long until done again to Assassin's Creed with the new formula? Because they do come out with one new one almost every year again.
Well, this is the first time since Origins that they've taken a 2-year break, and Origins turned out okay. It wasn't my favorite. I preferred Odyssey to Origins, but
Odyssey came out last year?
Yeah, Odyssey came out. No, Odyssey came out 2 years ago. This is a 2-year break between Odyssey and Valhalla.
Okay. I'm just... So, what little contact I have with Ubisoft games these days, because I stopped playing Assassin's Creed after 3, because it was such a bad game, I didn't want to touch it anymore.
Black Flag was fun.
I played a little Black Flag, but I was already burned at that point and didn't want to play any more Assassin's Creed games. But it's like okay, Far Cry 3 was good, and then 4 came out, and 4 wasn't all that good.
4 was
So
the
I
same as
stopped.
3, just in India.
Right, it was even the same map.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, but they do this almost with every one of their properties. They're almost worse than Call of Duty in that regard, where when they come out with new ones too much, they come up with ideas that are half-baked, and then the next game, they almost don't even fully bake the ideas. Sometimes they even scrap the ideas and want new ones.
Well,
Go look at Far Cry.
that's the thing. Like, the yearly game franchise that comes out, like with the annual releases, are slowly killing their own market.
Right, and that's a huge issue. I really think they need to, Ubisoft specifically, and you can argue some other publishers need to do this as well, but they need to take a step back from these franchises, take good, long, hard looks at them, like they did with Assassin's Creed, because they did save that from burning into the ground. They really did.
Yeah, they did.
So when Beyond Good and Evil 2 comes out, they need to nail the shit out of that. I don't know when that's going to happen.
Wait, did you not hear that the guy that was working on the game has left the project, the head guy? The guy that sort of came up with the whole idea for it?
Oh, cool.
Nice.
So that game's never coming out. Great.
Yeah, that game is never coming out. That game is done.
So happy
It's
I brought that
never
up
coming
as an example of failure.
Yeah, no.
Isn't-
I heard the podcast called the Katsupi's People podcast. They were covering it pretty heavily because one of the guys there was pretty excited for it, and it doesn't exist. It's just a highlight, like a proof of concept reel.
Proof of concept. Well, great.
Yeah, because the head guy is gone.
Well, all right. Well,
Yeah, that was in
off
charge
that,
of the first one as well. That's the same guy that made the first game, and then he made this one, and then he's gone.
So,
So it's not coming out.
do you think they should stick with publishing that instead of developing like they do with South Park?
I think perhaps they could they could do a Tomb Raider type thing where they could give a property to a developer.
Kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah,
friggin'
smarter.
Bethesda did with Fallout New Vegas.
Sure, yeah. It's a good example.
I mean,
Very
I think
good
they should take Watch Dogs and give it to somebody that makes more Grand Theft Auto-esque games, because that's clearly what they're trying to go for with it. Like the GTA formula with a different twist to it.
Why don't they just give it to Square Enix and they can like slowly develop into a Sleeping Dogs 2?
Oh, speaking my language there, Jay.
There.
Ah, my boy.
Don't
I
you dare.
love Sleeping Dogs. It was great.
So do I.
All right. Tiers. I thought about this long and hard, and I'm gonna have to give Hades an S tier, Spelunky 2 and Crash an A tier. I haven't played enough of 13 Sentinels to tier it yet. Watchdog Legion, I'm gonna give it the you know what? I'm giving it an F because it's made by a big publisher. I'm willing to forgive a few of the other ones that I've given D's to this year, but Watch Dogs Legion gets a big fat F. Genshin Impact, I think it's going to go into that C territory. If it wasn't a free mobile port, it would be lower, but since it doesn't have the engagement level, I feel it doesn't get above C, so about where I think it belongs. And that does it for me. Jay, what do you give Tony Hawk's, just for the sake of the audience there?
High B, low A.
B, low A. Okay. Tony Hawk, THPS 3. And then K, at this current time, where are you feeling on 13 Sentinels if you were to give it a tier S to F?
Right now, I want to give it an S, but I haven't gotten to the ending, and I feel like that's very, very important.
Sure, a game so heavily on the story relies on its end. Yeah.
So I'll give it an A, and the S is tentative on how it sticks its landing.
That's totally fair. I'm kind of in that same realm, that A-B area, and depending on how the story continues to play out, is very very reliant on how it nails that ending. Because I was very much the same way with Octopath Traveler. I was like, man, if this had like a congruent story with the characters, it would have done so much better with me overall. And for those wondering,
I do plan on beating it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I did borrow it from a friend. I'll probably like, to me it's the perfect game. I can't wait to go on sale because then I could buy it. I got to allocate my money somehow, right?
Right.
So, for those wondering, I did beat Desperados 3 and Ghost of Tsushima in between the couple months here. Very enjoyable games, very enjoyable endings. I can't believe I actually put the time aside to beat Desperados 3. I spoke about both of them in kind of the finishing reviews on the Retro Gaming episode. Everything is there in descriptions, so you can find them. Let's see.
JD, can we make another tier for Watch Dogs?
No.
No, we need to put it lower than F.
I mean, it's only joining Deadly Premonition 2 in that tier for the year, so it pretty much
Somehow
holds
Deadly
it by
Premonition
itself.
2 is better than Watch Dogs.
It is not. If we were to rank F games.
Can I tier Genshin?
Sure.
Tier Genshin?
Sure.
I'll agree with you on C.
Yeah. There you go. We're all kind of in agreement with these games. Nothing wrong with that. Man, my game of the year list is looking quite fun. But if we go by like ranked of the tiers, very interesting how all the top games will end up rolling out together as a podcast, because that's how we've come to a lot of these this year.
What are our current S tier games?
Hades, Ghost of Tsushima, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Doom Eternal.
Right. Cool.
Yeah, so that's our current top 4. So if we get one more, that automatically puts Final Fantasy VII at 5, regardless.
So I have a quick question that I don't know if it's been addressed. Would you count Final Fantasy VII Remake as it's a different game, since it's a very, very different story than the original? It only borrows certain beats from the original story, but most of it's wholly on its own.
You are correct in that regard, but it's still labeled as Final Fantasy VII Remake.
I think that's more marketing than it actually being a full-on remake.
Well, we give it the same treatment as not Link to the Past,
Link's Awakening
remake and Resident Evil 2 remake.
The
story and the gameplay have already been made before.
Yeah, like you could say with that argument, like.
But it's different enough where we can still review it as kind of its own title, but you can't ignore that the game did previously exist.
Right, but there are a lot of things that are making it super different.
We understand that. It's just our little podcast rule.
Okay, I was just wondering what the stand on that would have been.
Yeah.
Well, now you know.
November, we have at least 4 games listed that are up for just talking about here. Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon. Hopefully I can get through. I'm almost done with 5, actually. I have only
You're doing better than I am.
I only have a few chapters left, and then I got 6 to play. And then this is going to be weird, because I'm going to have to play a little bit of 7 before the podcast.
So, JD, you got the opposite problem to I do, right? Because I've finished 6, but I haven't finished 5. Because I played 0 Kiwami, 6 Kiwami 2, 3, 4, 5.
You didn't finish Judgment, did you?
I didn't say that.
Ah! Okay.
We're not talking about Judgment right now.
We will kill him.
To be fair, I haven't finished Judgment either, but I also got
the other reason Kay started playing Judgment was because Momo Watanabe was playing it.
Yeah, right, it is. But also, Final Fantasy Remake came out right after I bought it, so...
Alright, so Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon, the RPG Yakuza. It's gonna be fun. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. A game that I came across that looked interesting. Sakuna of Rice and Ruin. And Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which I have pre-ordered a PS5 copy, despite not being able to get my hands on a PS5. But I will have access to at least playing it. So,
JD,
yes?
Leave Assassin's Creed to me, because I plan on having it finished, and it's probably all I'm going to play next month besides Yakuza.
Dude.
No,
Alright,
Spider-Man. I'm disappointed.
All right.
Oh yeah, Miles Morales. That's a DLC pack.
I mean, sort of.
Don't know that. I'm excited for it. Miles Morales is dope, yo.
Anyways, we're going to transition into my mom talking about Spelunky 2, and that'll finish the podcast. Thanks, guys, for coming.
Thanks for having me.
I'm eating curly fries.
And we're here at the end of the podcast. It is time for Mom to shine.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
So I guess Spelunky's been out for a couple of months now, right?
September, yeah.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Figure I've been working so hard on all these podcasts. We'd take some time off.
I kind of enjoyed this time off. I gotta say, this podcasting's a lot of work. You know that?
You think it's a lot of work? Look at all the shit I do.
I know. I don't know how all these podcasters do it on top of other shit.
Well,
but
they
I guess
usually
they
quit.
More money than you.
Very quick. They usually quit very quick.
No, but unless you're making a lot of money,
then
from
it's a job.
Sponsorship and stuff, it becomes your job.
Right.
Yeah.
Not something I want it to totally turn into, unless I'm making more than what I'm making now, then by all means.
Well, you could probably be making more money than you are now, but you like to do this as your side thing, not as your main thing.
Well, I'd have to have a much bigger audience, but I digress. What is this game we're talking about today?
Spelunky. Spelunky 2, actually.
Spelunky Dos.
Yeah, right.
So before the podcast and recording, you gave me a whole spiel over how you watched the documentary of the original game being made. You watched some of the first game to give yourself perspective. You went the whole 9 yards on this sucker.
I took it very seriously. You know me. I always when you got me going into something, then I got to find something else. And I'm just curious. I want to be well-rounded with my knowledge of Spelunky, and I got curious because it was a fun game. I did enjoy watching it and not feel intimidated by watching it, because some games intimidate me when you're going, God dang, this is really dark, or I don't know if I really want to keep watching this game, because to me some of these games are like watching a freaking movie. Some
of them are, yes. I think we've got you doing a lot of diversity over the course of the year.
Yes, I have been very diverse. But I did like Spelunky. Spelunky 2. It did pique my curiosity. Okay, this is Spelunky 2. What does Spelunky 1 look like? And very similar. And I was able to enjoy the music a little more than I did on Spelunky 2, only because I was trying to find just to be able to watch it. But it seems now they got the stupid player embedded in the game, and to me it's a little distracting to be watching or seeing the guy talking while I'm supposed to be watching the game. It was kind of distracting to me, and it took away from hearing the music that I really wanted to hear. And
you remember who you watched this time around?
Of course, I always write that down because I knew you would ask me.
Okay.
So for Spelunky 2, I watched IGN and Northern Lion. And I found this to be interesting when I brought it up to watch, that it actually has violence and blood. So,
well, yeah,
is that later
cartoon
on or something? Because I mean, violence. I see more violence on TV than I did in this game. I don't know what they were talking about.
Well, it's that's something left over from the early '90s when the government made them start at least putting those things on boxes. So if it has any sort of blood or death in it, you have to say violence.
Oh.
Even if it's a cartoon character. Because if it... I mean, you watch Last of Us Part 2 where the dude gets battered with a golf club, and then you can cut to this one where it's this cartoon character going, bleh.
Yeah, I was taken aback by that because I was like, what? My God. You have an egg-shaped egg ship, you know, and there's 255 episodes of this game?
Well, okay, so the way...
Are sections?
Alright, so I'll give you a little backstory then. It's developed by Mossmouth, directed by Derek Yu. I believe he made the first game by himself, and then he had to... correct me if I'm wrong, you watched the documentary. And then the second one he had to outsource because he wanted this out on more platforms, or at least with the PlayStation 4 on release. It is what's called a rogue-like game, Mom. And what that is you go through a series of stages and levels, and when you die, you essentially start over, and when you go through it again, it's randomly generated in its theme, so you're not playing through the same level twice. It's put together differently than it was before it. That makes sense?
So you don't even start where you died from.
Correct.
So you're starting a new adventure because you died?
You could say that. Yeah.
Okay. I kind of caught that, and I thought I was seeing things.
Yeah, I don't think you've ever...
No, I've never been here before. Wait, what? And I just kind of shrugged it off and go, well, maybe I was just seeing things. I don't know. But apparently not.
Yeah. So yeah, it's randomly generated stages and levels, and you reach points in which you'll come across, let's say, a boss. Once you go through 4 stages, you'll reach the same boss, and then you get by that boss to go to the next 4 stages. And maybe it has a different theme to it, but the level itself will always be randomly generated differently within that theme each time you die.
Okay.
So it tries to keep things fresh, but you don't have to continue playing the same thing over and over again, even though a common criticism of this style of game is it feels like you're playing the same thing over and over again. So the reason why you might see someone on YouTube playing 200 videos of this game is because if you get caught up in this loop, it has incredible replay value. Ah,
okay. So because I think there's 4 different endings too.
Yeah, and you always want the different endings. Maybe you want to challenge yourself and say, okay, I'm going to go through this only using this weapon or this amount of this item. It's a spin on old school gaming in a sense, where
that's what they were. That's exactly what they were gearing towards, because I know the gentleman that created the music, he wanted it to sound like old school video games. He wanted those certain things for this game because of that.
Well, I thought I've played I played the first one quite a bit actually, and the second one I was anticipating it and see okay, what are they going to improve upon? Is it going to be a super different game? Are they going to try something new? And mostly it's the same game as the first one. And it's just a lot of things are improved upon. I mean, that's what a lot of sequels kind of tend to be, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I thought the music in the second one is tremendously better than the first game.
I wish I could have heard it.
Yeah.
But I mean, after a while, I'm like, well, I couldn't find any, and I searched several different, so I could hear the music, and I just that's why I ended up going to Spelunky and just checking it out to see if there was anything different between the two, and it ended up being, of course, very similar. But there's definitely improvements from Spelunky 1 to Spelunky 2.
There you go. I sent you a little YouTube video you can watch afterwards over the music just by itself.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, cool. And if you want more, there's various playlists you can find over the first and second game, and you can kind of hear the difference between the two. It's really good. It's I thought it meshes better together with the stages. I thought it picks up and slows down in the right places of various creatures and whatnot coming at you. I really liked a lot of the improvements of just the way the game controls itself. I did have to change a couple of the controls. Because the character, when you first boot it up, the character has a constant run on, and you actually have to hit the button to make him stop, rather than you hold a button down and he goes, and when you let go, he stops. So in that sense,
I saw that you can actually change the motion, so you could have him walk through.
Right, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he can walk.
Yeah, I didn't.
I thought that was pretty cool.
It's kind of cool because I've played games like that where it's a lot of kinetic motion to it, and it gets you to play differently. I tend to not like games like that, but at least the option was there to change the controls back to something I'm more comfortable with. I do like it when games, the creators actually do things like that. This game does offer multiplayer support. Four-player online, so you can have kind of a cooperative game to yourselves and a competitive mode if you so choose. I thought that was neat. One of the big improvements in the game is its physics system, particularly with water, and because it's called Spelunky and it's very cave-based, right? Because that's what a spelunker is. When you go spelunking. You always see like water flowing throughout the stages down in various ways. So as the geologist, I quite appreciated that.
Well, I like, I guess, because it was 3 years ago that when something lands in the water, then it becomes ice. When it dies, it floats to the top, and it's an ice cube. I thought that was pretty cool. Because they brought life to the cave, I guess.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was a fun game. I could actually see myself being able to play the game and not be.
That's only the second one you've played this year that you could say that.
Right. It'd be too terribly intimidated, I think, based on the ease of it for me to see. To be seeing it played, I could enjoy it until I died. I don't like dying. The dying part kind of is frustrating to me, and I know that's the gamers' probably frustration too. They don't like to die,
Well, of course not.
But if you die in the cave, you have to start all over again. Do you start all over again? Is this a new story then if you die in the cave? Or are you actually still in that?
You're still in that universe. It has this loose kind of dimensional shift to it.
Okay.
But yeah, you continue the story. There's another game I
continue the story, but I'm when we've died before in other games, we start from where we died, but the scene hasn't changed.
Right, just the level kind of changes up a bit. It's rearranged through procedural generation.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, when our main character Anna, she dies, she starts from the beginning of the level again. She retains she loses most of her items, but you do keep like various key things. That way, the longer you play it, the stronger or easier it gets to go through the levels. I'm gonna have to get you to watch another game that came out in September called Hades. It's very much like this, but it's based in Greek mythology, and you're trying to escape the 4 levels of hell.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's very much like this.
And it's called Hades.
Hades.
Yeah. Ah, well, you'll have to send that to me.
Yeah, and then we'll discuss what what game from November you want to check out.
Yeah.
I got 2 in mind for you to choose from, but you'll definitely have to get back to me on Hades.
Okay.
Since you like this one so much, because that's one of the best games of the year, and it's just like this.
Oh, okay.
Randomly generated, all kinds of things.
How long did it take to make Hades?
I'm not sure.
Oh.
Let me look it up.
I like all the secret worlds. So, as you're going through this, do you have an option to go to a secret world?
What do you mean?
Well, so you reach a level. When do you get to a secret world? Or
when do you get to the next stage of the
like
world?
Other ship. There's an ice cave. Plant world, cosmic ocean. Is that just the different levels, and they call it secret world?
Yeah, I mean, so there's different like doorways and stuff you can find and get to, and that can change your path to the end. Slightly different than the last. Again, that's all things put in the game to keep you wanting to play more.
Uh-huh.
Trying to see when Hades was starting to be developed. It seems 2017.
Well, then that's pretty
short.
Pretty quick.
Yeah.
That's a quick turnaround.
Yeah. Yeah, I really want Spelunky 2 to come out on the Nintendo Switch specifically. Because I have the first one on my PlayStation Vita, the handheld PlayStation. And I just find games like this really fun when I can kind of play it in bed and go through, 20, 30 minutes of something. And then once I had my fill, then I could just like kill the character and continue another day, or just, put it in sleep mode and pick it right up and play. That's what makes these games super enjoyable.
Yeah. The other thing that I liked about this game was that you had your arrow. It could help you where you need to go. If you want to, you don't have to go exploring in the cave. If you go into the doorway to the cave, you may or may not get something, right?
Right.
And so you may or may not want to go to the cave. You can just immediately go where the arrow goes onto the next thing, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So I think I like that. You don't, but you still have to collect things, right?
Yes. You want to collect money. You want to collect treasure.
Because you still have to reach a how do I want to say it?
You want to reach a point or collect the correct amount of items where it can help you progress through the stages faster and or easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say.
Of course. Yeah, I read your mind. Mother and son.
I appreciate that. Oh my god.
What did you think of picking up the dopey looking dog character Monty and chucking him at things and
Well, I was going to ask you the purpose of that dog. Because he can die and he can come back to life. You can throw him here, you throw him there. And
yeah.
Yeah.
If you take him to the end of the stage, you can keep him going. Yeah.
I think I even like the name of the dog, Monty. I think it's a perfect name for that dog.
It's like Monty Mole.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was great.
I like his dopey looking eyes that look like they're spaced out and his tongue's hanging out.
It's a fun game. It was really fun to watch it. I enjoyed it. I would recommend this for anybody, What is the age range for this game?
It's E for everybody. I feel
okay.
With the violence and blood and the death thing, I'm sure it has like a T for T rating, 13 and up. But
I don't get that. An 8-year-old certainly can handle it.
When I was 8, you would have disagreed.
No, I know the game you wanted when you were 8, and Robert down the street told me that, oh, yeah, he can get that. I'm like, do you remember that game? I had to have a discussion with Robert, your babysitter.
Twisted Metal.
Twisted Metal.
I remember. It was probably Twisted Metal. But then I had Contra on the NES where I'm killing aliens and anyways.
Anyway, I just don't see it. I don't feel that. I wouldn't have a problem with an 8-year-old getting this game at all. I see more violence and crap on TV than I do in this game. Totally.
Yeah, just turn on the news.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So for me, even if you had a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old watching this, let's put 7 in there too.
Oh, definitely not 7-year-olds. You've gone too far. That's a weird age. You got to be very specific. Ages 4 to 6, 8 and up.
Between 4 and 8, I just don't feel the blood, violence, and gore that they're coming up with for this rating. I just don't see it. If I would have seen it, I would have seen it in the amount of time that I watched it. Mm-hmm. In both Spelunky and Spelunky 2, I don't see it. I think it's a missed rating that doesn't deserve that kind of rating. I think.
Let's see. I'm going to check what the rating is.
Well, I'm just going by what I saw: violence and blood. What the heck are they talking about? Just not seeing that kind of a rating for this.
Let's see.
I don't even, okay, no, I can't say PG-13 either. No. Anyway, I liked it. I would give this one, do I have a star rating on these?
You have, we have tiers for this. S being the absolute best, highest possible, then A, B, C, D, F. A grade, if you will.
Well, I would give this an A.
Not an S?
Well, okay, an S.
Oh.
S-A.
S-A.
Good
joke.
Have an S-A?
Good joke.
I do. I really like this game.
Mom approves.
And you're required to bring Spelunky.
Well, I'd have to bring my PlayStation 4 for Thanksgiving.
Oh, I thought you had it on.
I have the first one on my Vita. I could bring.
Yeah, do that.
Okay.
Because I really would like to play this game because it really intrigued me to see if I could actually play the game.
Right. Well, okay. We got first. I'll bring Animal Crossing as well, so you can get into that.
Oh yeah. For sure.
Okay. Mom will get her hands on some Spelunky and Animal Crossing New Horizons. She won't just watch YouTube videos. But Mom has approved Spelunky 2, S-rated game of the year. There you go.
Yep.
Well, thanks, Mom.
Hey.
Well, I guess we'll hear you next time for the wrestling podcast talking AEW.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah. All right. See you next time.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.